Hairball. Welcome back to the OCAD Sports Report. I am your host, Avishai Sol, and oh my goodness, did we have a busy week in the world of sports. Things happening all over the place. Basketball is crazy. Soccer is crazy. Football is ramping up. Oh my goodness, we have so much to get into. But this is also the Halloween episode. Why is it the Halloween episode? Halloween already happened. I'll tell you why. Because it's belated. Oh, I should also mention, the OCAD Sports Report is now sponsored by Red Cups. When you're drunk and bored and like parlor games, try a Red Cup. The only cup that's good for both beer pong, water pong, and all the other pongs you may be having with your friends. I learned that I am really good at beer pong. Check this out. See this? We have a lot to get into in the world of sports. Let's get started. Starting off in the world of baseball, where we have the Phillies and Astros facing off in the World Series. At the time of this recording, the World Series is happening. The Astros are up on the Phillies 3-2, which means by the time you see this, most likely, unless like a hurricane hit, somebody will have won the World Series. So I'm going to record 3 separate takes for whatever happens. We cannot be wrong. The Phillies won the World Series. Congratulations, Philadelphia. Have fun trying to be angry about that. The Astros won the World Series. Houston, an incredible season for you. Everybody knew you going in, you were the favorites, and you delivered on all of that promise. One of the better seasons a baseball team has had in the past decade. A hurricane hit. Nobody won. Whatever ends up happening, it's not like it'd be a huge deal because nobody cares about baseball anymore. Now moving on to the world of American football. The Eagles continue their undefeated season behind Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jason Kelce. But Torontonians, the Bills aren't too far behind. I always say that the Bills are the closest thing Toronto has to an NFL franchise, and they are doing very well. They are strong, and they certainly have a chance. But that's not what I want to talk about. Mainly what I want to talk about is the Patriots quarterback situation. They may be having too much of a good thing. Between quarterback Mac Jones and sort of backup, Bailey Zappi, the Patriots are yet to side with one over the other. They're trying to pick and choose between sort of the QB that had given them some semblance of success last season and this new guy who's coming up and could possibly be better. This is sort of reminiscent of what was going on 20 years ago when one Patriots quarterback, Drew Bledsoe, was being upstarted by a guy by the name of Tom Brady. Of course, Bailey Zappi is no Tom Brady, but it was a similar situation, and in that case, siding with the younger upstart paid off and then some. But it's tough to know what to do. Right now, the Patriots are almost trying to hedge their decision and play them both at once and switch and see who's going well throughout the game. And, you know, what my grandpappy always said about situations like this, the QBs are sort of like girlfriends. You gotta pick one or lose them both. Now moving on to the world of women's college soccer. The number 5 ranked team in the ACC, FSU, advances over the number 4 team, Notre Dame, to get to the tournament final. Yup. But now moving on to the world of hockey. Start of the season and it's already been exciting. The Bruins currently stand at the top of the league, a 10-1 record to start the year. They are killing it. Behind their big 3 of Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron, they've just been running rampant all over the place. The Leafs, not stellar success. They're currently sitting with a winning record, but sort of nearer to the middle. We'll be waiting to see what happens there. But of course, just the start of the season. We've got a long way to go. This is overreaction time in the world of hockey, but also in the world of basketball. Usually this time in basketball would be reserved for picking early MVP favorites and rookies who've stood out and all that sort of fun pap that doesn't really have a lot of substance, but is fun to talk about because of this small sample size. But unfortunately, that's not what we're going to talk about this week because of the absolute stockpile of controversies that have been existing throughout the NBA. Starting off with Josh Primo. The Canadian player, formerly on the San Antonio Spurs in his second year, sort of took a retirement leave of absence and was later waived by his team, basically because he was showing off his wang to people on the staff. That one's pretty cut and dry. I mean, listen, of course, completely inappropriate. Usually you have to be at least an all-star to go doing that to your staff, but no, of course not. Josh Primo, there's no controversy there. He did something wrong, he was waived from the team.
And that's the end of that chapter.
But what's more complicated is what's been going on with the Brooklyn Nets. First things off, they started the week by firing their coach, Steve Nash, a mutual parting of the ways, which means fired. The Nets have been disappointing so far this season, and usually those coaches are the first to bear the brunt of the blame, especially when they're coaching star players like Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. The firing of Steve Nash is not completely out of the ordinary, but what's rare and controversial is that they're looking into hiring former Celtics coach, currently suspended Celtics coach, Ime Udoka, who, after having a workplace affair with another Celtics staffer, was suspended for the year. Obviously, a very successful coach, leading the Celtics to the finals last year. But now the Nets want to bring him in while he's on the suspension, and the Celtics are like, take him. It's not that they don't miss his skills, they do, but they'd rather not deal with the controversy, which is why it's so interesting that the Nets are welcoming that into their organization. Unless they think that Ime Udoka is so great that he can single-handedly turn this team around and that it's worth shouldering that controversy and worth moving past all the trappings that come with that situation and the bad vibes surrounding Udoka. They think he can help them that much. They can help him win the championship, then, I guess bring him on, but it seems like the Nets are embracing that role as the villains of the league. Although it's a lot harder to be villains of the league when you're not winning any games. And still, that's not the most controversial thing that's gone on within the Nets organization this week. If you don't know what happened, All-Star guard Kyrie Irving posted a link on his social media to basically a conspiracy theorist hate-fueling documentary. Said a bunch of different things within, but some of the most notable that documentary covers are about secret societies controlling things within the United States, specifically run by Jews. In the same documentary, it mentions how the Holocaust never happened, plenty of batshit ideas. Now, when questioned about this, two things happened. First thing was that Kyrie argued against questioning it at all, saying that just because he posted something on his social media doesn't mean he necessarily agrees with everything he says. He's not vouching for those opinions, for everything within the documentary. The reporter then fought back with, well, then if you don't necessarily agree, then why are you posting it on? And it was a big back and forth. Basically, it ended without Kyrie apologizing. Kyrie then went on to continue to push back against him having to take down anything. He's saying, again, you guys creating these narratives around what I think is wrong, and I'm allowed to say what I say and think what I think and post what I want. And it's not hate speech, it's just promoting some ideas that I think. And everybody has a right to hear every ideas. And only until recently, when he was suspended for 5 games, fined, was forced to meet with the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, who is Jewish, was Kyrie able to send out an apology. It was a good apology. I read it, and it was a good apology. But controversy is nothing new to Kyrie. So for our main segment, I want to take you back to this entire arc with Kyrie. I've made fun of Kyrie Irving plenty of times on this show, but I want to take you back and fully explain why I think he's such a goof and then how it's evolved over time. We have to start everything with his skills on the court because he is an exceptionally gifted basketball player. His ball handling is arguably the greatest that ever was. The way he's able to get to his spots on the floor, the way he's able to score, it's incredible. He's an incredible talent. But this whole controversy thing started years ago when he claimed, either jokingly or not, that the earth was flat. Now that was funny, right? The earth is flat, like, Kyrie is such a weird guy, whatever. Since saying that, Kyrie has sort of had some soft retractions, maybe saying he doesn't believe it, he does. He was sort of like, it's never been made completely clear what he thinks about the earth, but who cares? Like, whatever, it's just weird. He, of course, has that huge finals in 2016 where, alongside LeBron James and Kevin Love, defeats the Golden State Warriors. He hits that huge shot, superstar.
Come up on a minute remaining, and they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown! Offensive play by Kyrie Irving, but it's a play he's made his entire life. The ability to score and flat out get it done on the offensive end.
Top of the world. But then the year after playing out the next season with Cleveland, decides he wants to leave a finals contender in Cleveland to go be his own solo star outside of LeBron's shadow on the Boston Celtics. Now that's when I first took grievance with Kyrie. Why? It's natural. You want to get out LeBron's shadow. You want to be your own person. You want to see the extent of your skills when you are the main guy on a team. That's reasonable, right? Well, yes and no. You can sympathize with his feelings, but what it is him valuing his own brand, his own stardom, and his own identity over winning games. He sacrificed what he had in Cleveland, which was a team that was going to compete in the finals for the foreseeable future. You have LeBron and Kyrie. Of course you're going to be a contender. And he said, no thank you. I'd rather be myself than be part of a team and win. He would rather be an individual than a success. He would rather be different than good, which is a theme that we've seen since. Of course, Kyrie left Boston. They were not sad. There was a couple disappointing years with Kyrie playing mediocre, almost half trying, sneering and being weird with the media and his teammates throughout. Goes to Brooklyn, signs with the Nets, signs with KD, refuses to get vaccinated. Now, I would assume that most of the people watching this show agree with vaccination policy and that you should get vaccinated and protect yourself and protect your loved ones. But if you don't, I don't agree with you. It's not exactly something that we want, but it's not hateful. Kyrie can do what he wants, I guess. But again, it's him valuing his own personal beliefs, his own choices, and himself over the needs of the team. He sat out a year. He decided not to play basketball on a team that could have won the finals. He sacrificed all that because he needed to be himself. And finally, that leads us to this most recent thing where Kyrie posts an anti-Semitic documentary on his social media, and it takes him way too long to apologize for it. Now, I'm Jewish. I've said it before on the show, but I'll remind everybody I'm Jewish. And I'm not a Kyrie fan. I wasn't a Kyrie fan before he said any of those things. And I don't believe Kyrie Irving is a hateful person. I don't think Kyrie Irving hates Jewish people. I don't think Kyrie Irving is an anti-Semite. But what this is, again, is a man valuing individualism, valuing his own sense of importance, this idea that only he can see the writing on the wall, this idea that only he can be this enlightened figure within the league, this nonconformist, this sage, both on the court and off. It's this idea that has defined his entire basketball career and is why he will not be beloved when he retires. Do you know how unlikable you have to be to play the way Kyrie Irving does and still have everyone hate you? He's an undersized guard who's a ball-handling, scoring genius. His shoes are the best. I've bought them. They're really comfortable. He has all the trappings of a beloved sports icon, and yet he can't do it because he'd rather be himself than good. And it's an example of nonconformity going to the point where you are wrong over and over again, and it has now reached the point with Kyrie Irving that he's promoting hate speech on a social media platform that has millions of followers, millions of children who can now be influenced by this opinion. It's where somebody who has wronged people on the basketball court has now stepped over the line and is creating harm within the world at large. Now, Kyrie still has opportunities to change. His career is not over, and he can prove me wrong, but this is a new low for Kyrie Irving. And until I see any differently, I will continue to root against him at every chance I get. This has been the OCAD Youth Sports Report. My name is Avishai Saul, and I will see you all next week.